everybody, I'm Alara Servi from Team NDL, and if the camera is a little bit, quality a little bit sucks, don't worry, we'll move to the table pretty soon, so it will not be a problem. Regardless, I'm doing a guest upload here, apparently, on Vendread, which is the zombie deck, and oh, that's spicy, really like zombie deck, so I thought I will bring one that he kind of don't know how to play with. Regardless, before we'll jump into the deck profile, I want to thank him once again to let me be part of this and just giving a shout out to myself as well, and also just doing shout outs for YouTubers as well. This is something that I also do, but he took it into the next level with the tab community stuff, so thank you all guys so much for helping small other YouTubers as well. Some of them I really know as so-called YouTuber friends, so thank you guys for helping them as well. Also, I will give a shout out myself for, once again, Third World Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as 4 other YouTubers, because we work together, all 6 of us, on something called the Coalition of Scrubs. So if you guys want to check that out, I will ask him to leave those links in the description. I'll leave those in the comments. All of these guys, you can sub to me, you can sub to them. If you want to, check our content, don't feel obligated to sub, just if you enjoy the content, and if you want to, let us reach milestones. So yeah, I'm really close to the 1,000. So if you guys want to help me and want to check my content, I'll be very, very happy to. But what the content that I do is deck profiles and set reviews right now. Mostly I'm doing deck profiles, but I'm also starting to do set reviews, a few things, something I'm very, very proud of, which is star rating and stuff like that. And lastly, I'm trying to work on other projects. So yeah. And the last thing before we will begin, truly, I also have Discord. So if you want to join my Discord, I will try to leave that in the comments, or you can go to my channel, and I think I have a link there somewhere, or go to one of my videos, you will find it. Regardless, you can join there, you can talk to me personally, and let's jump right into the deck profile, shall we? Because I think you're going to enjoy this one. Alright, so sorry for the long intro, but I just want to introduce myself and stuff like that. For this one, like I said, I'm bringing Vendread. This is 60 card Vendread, because Vendread is a really, really good deck going at 60. I will jump right into it right now, and I'm going to also show you a combo during the end, so that's why the camera is a little bit far away more than usual, deck profiles and stuff like that, because I want to show you the combo during the end. Also, last thing is I'm going to show you this as engines, because I am thinking like that way it will be a little bit more easier to understand how the deck functions instead of just going monsters, spells, and traps. So for the Vendread's engine, you do have another card which will be another engine from the archetype, but we'll talk about it in a second. First off, you run 1 copy of Revenant or Vendread Executor, 2 copies of Battlelord. Battlelord is really good as well, we'll talk about them in a second, and then 2 copies of Slayer. A lot of people are probably going to ask me why 2 copies of Slayer. Some people still ask me, but I think I kind of revolutionized this back in the day, because I think I was one of the first people that actually started to run this at 2. The reason why you only need this at 2, because as a ritual monster, it's not that great. It does give you a search, but there's so many ways to see this guy anyway with your pre-prep and stuff like that, and this is one of those cards that pre-prep can also recycle this from the graveyard, so it's not really a big deal. You don't really want to see way too much ritual monsters. This is the only ritual monster that you want to maybe see at 3, because this one can also negate your opponent effects, like monsters, spells, and traps, by banishing one of them, so for the rest of the turn. So for example, if you summon this first, your opponent cannot Nibiru you for the turn, which is really, really great, which it is part of the combo, which I'll show you at the end. Anyway, Slayer, when it's sent to the graveyard, search for your ritual spell. Any ritual spell, doesn't have to be Vendread's, but you most of the time going to search a Vendread one, and then also send for your Vendread monster to the grave. Battlelord does the same thing, but with ritual monster instead of ritual spell. And Executor is just a great card to end up overall. It's not as useful, or should I say not useful, but not more as necessary as it used to be, but still a very, very great card, so I do recommend to still run it at 1. We also run, for the little ones, we run 1 copy of Hound Horde, 1 copy of Striges, 1 copy of Core, and 1 copy of Anima. Anima is also one of those I'm not really sure about anymore, but I do like it more than Revenant, which Revenant is the level 4 that give you a banishing effect for monsters, but it's such a sucky card. It's so bad compared to this, because with that you cannot really do anything, because it doesn't really have a good recurring effect, unlike those guys, because this one, you banish a zombie, you special summon it from the grave. Striges, if you send it to the graveyard and show a Vendread card, you special summon it from the grave. And this one, you just send the Vendread card from your hand to grave and special summon it from the grave. And all of these have a particular effect. If you're on the field and use them for rituals, something happens and they give something an effect. And also, if they used their effect to special summon themselves, you have to banish themselves afterwards. This one is the only one that, like, if you banish it from the grave, you can summon one of these banished monsters. But for the rest of the turn, you can only special summon zombies. So do keep that in mind. Kind of mostly doesn't matter, but do keep that in mind. And the effects that only matter most of the time are those two. This one is banishing spells and traps, and this one is untargeting the entire board. So most of the time, this one, because it's giving you the ability, Executor have the ability to essentially make your entire field untargetable. So if you give him with Core, your entire board is untargetable anyway, even not himself. Because he's making all of your other cards untargetable. So if you have Core, and let's say Slayer or in Battlelord, it's just making him also untargetable, so your entire field is untargetable. It's a little bit more harder to achieve, but it's not that hard if you have the correct cards in hand, of course. But yeah, that's it for the Vendread monsters. A little bit on the long explanation there, because they need a little bit more explanation. Spells for the Vendreads, you do have free Origin. Origin is searchable by pre-prep because it has Slayer at the end of its text. Because it says, like, if your Slayers will be destroyed by battle like artifact or something, you can banish this from the graveyard. Doesn't really matter, but this ritual spell is great. It allows you to ritual summon monster like Vendreads from the graveyard, not only from your hand, as well as you can banish zombies from the graveyard, which is really nice. Evolution was back in the day kind of like not okay. If you're running less than 60, I do recommend to maybe only run 2, because it does feel like a brick if you open up multiples. We can only activate 1 per turn, but it does let you to send a monster from your deck for the ritual, but the ritual level have to be exact. You can also ritual summon from the graveyard, but it has to be exact. So for example, if you're trying to summon Battlelord, it has to be exactly 7, but you could send another Battlelord for summoning the first Battlelord, so do keep that in mind. And then lastly, 3 copies of Charge. Charge, you send a monster from your graveyard, a nice discard outlet, and also your zombie from your hand or field. It doesn't really have to be anything, but you pretty much get to summon a Vendread monster from your deck. So you summon one of your small ones, which most of the time is going to be either Hound Horde, Striges, or Core. Anima, you just want to search for other things if you need to extend. So that's how that works with the Vendread lineup. As for the next lineup, let's move on to the Zombie World lineup, which then we'll move on to another one. For the Zombie World lineup, we run 1 copy of Doom King, 1 copy of Banshee, 1 copy of Glow Up Bloom. Zombie World, we'll get to it in a second, but you don't really need more than any of these. It just doesn't feel right to run more of these. You do run a particular thing in the extra deck, which I'll get to it, and also in part of the combo, why you don't really need more than 1 of each, because otherwise they're just getting to be a bricks. So do understand that as well. Then we'll move on to the field spell engine, and that's why I said like I run different particular things. I do run these 3 field spells in terraforming. Zombie World is obviously self-explanatory with Zombie World engine. Vendread Knights might actually going to be look like I'm stupid or something, but actually Vendread Knights prove to be really nice, as well as Sanctuary, because you do discard some particular cards that you don't want at multiples that you don't need. With this one you can search any ritual monsters, which is really, really great. And this one, and also light ritual monster, you don't really have those, but you could add like what are called Venten and maybe a Fairy engine if you want to, but mostly this is just to search a ritual spell, as well as like if you have enough cards in your graveyard and you properly summoned Herald of the Arclight, this can just revive it back by shuffling 4 spells. This one, just like I said, discard a card, just search a Vendread, which is really cool. So this really works quite a bit. This is just your self-problem fixers if you need to. Because you still run 60, so do keep that in mind. And then lastly, for the last engine that we run, which is not like a zombie engine or whatever, which is actually an archetypal engine, we run 1 of each of these, and the ritual spell as well, which is this thing. You don't really need more than each of those. More than that is actually a brick, and sometimes they are a brick anyway. One game I actually opened against a friend with 3 of those in hand. Pretty much was an unlucky game, but regardless, this one kind of proved to be sometimes useful, sometimes not. You don't really search it that much. but these are just really good. This one is searchable by Battle Lord, so that's why I'm saying like this one is really great, and just having one of each of those just means that you have access to different things. So that's really great. Having Chalice Lamp being searchable is just really helped the deck a lot. And you might think to yourself like, but you stop yourself from the extra deck. Not necessarily. You can just ritual summon immediately afterwards, because like I said, your ritual spells allow you to also special summon from the graveyard, so that's really cool. Then for the zombie engine, the natural zombie engine, you know, the normal one, 3 copies of Solitaire, 3 copies of Unizombie. This is the 60 card, so you might want to maximize the Unizombie. Actually, I'm going to surprise you guys with some particular options here. I'm only running 1 Mizuki, 1 Gozuki, and also 1 copy of Shinobi Necro. Mizuki and Gozuki actually didn't prove to be that useful in this build, and Mizuki actually is starting to be not that good as I thought it is. It's still very, very nice to have like a 1 copy, but you don't really go into the combo of like, you know, Mizuki, search Mizuki, dump Mizuki. It doesn't really feel that useful anymore because you don't have Summon Sorceress and Firewall. Yeah, it's just not really necessary. Gozuki is just serving as another so-called Unizombie 7th one if I really need to. And then this one is actually really great. This is the card that I mostly dump for some combos with Unizombie, because this one, when it gets banished, it's just special summon itself back. If it gets banished by the effect of a ritual spell or something like that, like if it's special, if it get banished by effect of a monster like a spell or something, it gets to special summon itself back. And if another zombie special summon itself, you get to draw and discard a card, and you banish it when it leaves the field. And it's also a level 2 tuner, so it actually works really well with Striges, which is the level 2 Vendread, and then you just summon Herald of the Arclight. So that actually works quite well, more than you think. Then for the rest of the deck, we have 2 Jacobolans for the last monster. Nice discard outlet, not more to say about that. Also high level, really cool. For the spells, we have 3 copies of pre-prep and 3 copies of normal prep. We also have another card that essentially is as a ritual searcher, which is Extra Foolish Burial. This one, you send Herald of the Arclight, you search. Now, normally, I would run, if it was for 40, only 2 copies of this, but I also run another particular monster in the extra deck that we'll get to it, why you just want to have 3 of this, just to help you also break boards going second. And then we also run 1 copy of the normal Foolish Burial. Sorry, why did I say Poly? I don't know. 1 Monster Reborn and 1 1-for-1. These are just really necessary one-offs. 1-for-1 can get you pretty much Glow Up Bloom and Core and whatever. Just really cool. Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. Foolish Burial is just Foolish Burial. And then lastly, for your board breakers during the main deck, you run 3 copies of Super Poly and 3 copies of Cold by the Grave. You don't want to get hand traps, and Super Poly, you do have some targets in the extra deck as well, just like one that doesn't work with Zombie World, which is Starving Venom, but just generally, even if you do essentially just only run this for the going first option, you still have like this for like, you know, summoning Dragon Necro, so that's really cool about that one as well. So that pretty much does it for the main deck. Now I'll move on to the extra deck. So first off, let's start off with the core cards of the extra deck. You do run 1 copy of Cross Sheep, 1 copy of Puzzle Amino, which is also a very important card, Vampire Sucker, and Vendread Savior. These are your core 4 pieces of the extra deck. These are just your 4 core link monsters. Cross Sheep, you can use the effect to draw 2 and discard 2, which is really cool. The leader is actually really nice because it's giving you the ability to change levels, which you'll see in a second. Why do I mean it's really good. Sucker is just generically good, and Savior is just the archetypal link monster. I do want to run a second one of these, but for the time being, I'm not really sure because I don't really have a spot in the extra deck. So yeah, about that. For the rest of the link monsters, 1 copy of Phoenix, 1 copy of Unicorn to help you break boards. Also 1 copy of Avermax, and I am ashamed to do that, but I do proxy Yukiona. As you all know, we're all in the quarantine right now, and I wasn't able to get my copy before of it. I know that's like some weird reviews that like you can do shipping. Sorry, I got stuck on it. You can still do shipping, but like for me specifically, it might not going to arrive to my country because I do have to order from another one because my country is pretty small and doesn't really have big car store or whatever. And also, like, I don't ever know when it's going to arrive. So for the time being, unfortunately, I have to proxy. But you do want to run Yukiona. Yukiona is absolutely insane into this deck. It's just additional 2 negates, which is really ridiculous. You also run one Xyz monster, which is Beatrice. Beatrice is the reason why you want to also have this guy. Because this guy make your other monster level 6, which is not Slayer, if you summon to his zone. And then you make 2 level 6 to make Beatrice, and then you can just dump... You'll see in the combo, but you can dump Banshee to get you Zombie World, and then also Glow Up Bloom during your opponent's turn to get you, what is his name again? Doom King. So that's really cool in that regard as well. For Synchros, I run 3 as well. The only one I would say like I absolutely use is Herald of the Arclight most of the combos, with extra Foolish Burial and a little easier to summon. These 2 are just for utility. I'm not really sure about them, and if you do run the Eldritch engine, I do recommend to cut them down and put something else, because these are not zombies, and maybe even change your entire extra deck anyway, but I do like these 2 still. I don't think they're absolutely insanely good. To be honest, because most of your combos you do end anyway with like 3 to 4 disruptions, but they're still giving you an additional option if you have to go to something else. I'm not really sure about these 2. These are the 2 only oddballs in my extra deck, but we'll see about them. And then lastly for the fusions, as you heard, 1 copy of Dragon Necro, 1 copy of Starving Venom, and then lastly, we're also running 1 copy of Older Entity. Seriously though, this card is the other card that I said to you, like, you want extra Foolish Barrel, because sometimes you do able to summon Herald of the Arclight, so you won't have another option. As well, just help you to break board going second. You just dump it with extra Foolish Burial, pop a card on board, which is really cool. So these are just really nice. This one you cannot special summon with Super Polymerizations, I think, because I think she must be summoned with Sending the Materials, but if there's anybody with the rulings that want to fix, or should I say tell me that I'm wrong, thank you, because I'm pretty sure you cannot summon her with that, so just don't get excited that she said you need Xyz and a Synchro, so yeah, I don't think you can summon her with Super Poly. This one, just most of the monsters in the game are dark. If you want another option, you can go into it, and this one, just like I said, Zombie World. You could run also another options, and also, like I said, switch those 2 guys to additional Super Poly targets. It's just up to you. For me, it's just what I want to do. So that's pretty much does it for the deck, and now let's move on for the combo itself. So for the combo itself, the only 2 cards you need technically to achieve full combo are the following. This and this thing. These are the only 2 cards that you need to achieve full combo, which is pretty decent. So what do you need to do in this combo is pretty simple. You need to normal summon your Unizombie. Unizombie will dump your Battlelord, right? Then you're going to activate the effect of Evolution, sending another Battlelord to special summon the first one. Or should I say Ritual Summon. Then you activate the effect of the first Battlelord, because like I said, he has a nice effect to pretty much for the rest of the turn, monster effect will not be active, so you banish this, negate, or should I say like, your opponent cannot Nibiru you. Then you use those 2 to make your important Link monster Savior. Savior is really good, I really like him. Then you use the effect of Battlelord. So Battlelord is going to dump for you Slayer, actually, and you're going to search with it the ritual monsters that I told you could search, which is 1 copy of Incantation Chalice Slime. Then you're going to activate Chalice Slime effect, dumping himself to the graveyard to special summon to your side of the field Candle. Candle will then search to you the ritual spell Vendread Origin. Now what you're going to do is you're going to activate the Origin, sending this to the graveyard and banishing the Unizombie to special summon Slayer, right? Then you activate the effect of Savior to recycle this back to your hand because of his effect, and then you're going to ritual summon another Battlelord by banishing one of the Battlelords. Then you're going to use those 2 to make your Puzzle Dynamo, which is this guy, right? You're going to activate the effect of Slayer. Slayer will dump to your graveyard the Vendread Striges, and you're also going to search another copy of Origin to your hand, okay? This goes to grave, you reveal the Origin to your opponent, you special summon the Striges to this zone, to the zone of the leader, you have to. You make him level 6, and then you're going to use Origin to banish your other Battlelord to special summon, once again, Slayer. Then you Xyz summon those two into Beatrice, right? You're then going to use the effect of Beatrice to dump Slayer into the grave, then dump Necrobanshee into the grave, banish her, get your zombie world into your side of the field, and then what you're going to do is that you're going to use those two to make the Yukiona, which is this thing. You're going to make Yukiona, right? And then what's going to happen is that you're going to, during your opponent's turn, pretty much detach this, send Glow-Up Bloom to your graveyard, banish your Glow-Up Bloom, and since you have a field spell, getting your Doom King. So you have essentially only from 2 cards, 3 disruptions, Zombie World, which is also a disruption by itself, and if you also have Super Poly and stuff like that, there's an additional disruptions overall. So, yeah, that's really cool. So, Yukiona is 2 disruptions. This one is, actually, it's 4 disruptions. Both of these are 2 disruptions each. So, yeah, that's really cool. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this mini combo. It's pretty simple. And if you have more extenders, it can only become better. Hopefully, this wasn't really long, and I hope you enjoy. I'll see you guys all next time, maybe on my channel. And once again, thanks for Oh That's Spicy for letting me guest uploading here. And hope you enjoy Vendread deck profile, because I sure did enjoy making this for you. Bye-bye.